Network show. We have a good one for you because we have two organizations that are doing different things, but I think are similarly connected in some of the folks that they're trying to reach here in Atlanta. So excited to bring those to you. First, after the break, we're going to be talking to Norma Joy Barnes, and you're going to love her when she comes on the show. But she is the president and CEO of the Community Council of Metropolitan Atlanta, CCMA, and they're capturing a segment of the population that I think is probably sorely overlooked for opportunities and programs that are there to support them because, quite honestly, people probably think that they look past them or don't think that they're they think they're too far gone. So young men, African American men in particular, who are between the age of 18 and 28. So adults.
Yeah.
Technically
but
adults.
Not really.
But not all the way, you're just barely an adult.
You're not full grown.
Yeah.
I don't really think that you're like really adult till you're like 35.
Well, yes. That's
like
one way to look at it.
You just realize like you wake up at some point and you're like, ugh, I'm really having to do adult stuff. Like I got trying to do with homeowners insurance. I mean, like you wake up one day and you realize I'm doing like really grown up stuff that you.
Yeah, I never thought about. I didn't have that kind of like epiphany that this is grown. It was just stuff I didn't just want to do though.
Well, it wasn't like an epiphany. It wasn't like a light bulb went off, but you just kind of realize like the stuff that you're doing is like this. I don't know. And then I also think about like my parents. I was like, okay, well, my parents were my age. What were they doing? And it just felt like they were
probably were doing the same stuff.
They were, but it felt so much. They felt so much older, and then I realized that they really weren't.
That's because you were younger.
I know, but then you look up and you realize it's like, oh yeah, my parents were this age, and they were doing stuff and like fixing things around the house and like dealing with insurance and doing this stuff, and you're like, I'm a grown up. There's like this funny meme where it's like somebody's like looking around and they were talking about something happens and they're not the cat. They were doing something.
I don't. Yeah, you got to explain the cat thing.
So somebody they're like looking around and they're like, we need a grown up, and everybody's looking around, and then you realize I'm the grown up.
Oh.
Like, you just realize like, oh no.
Was everybody else in the picture a grown up?
I don't think so. I think it was just like that feeling when you realize you're like, we need an adult, and you realize, in this room, I'm the adult, and I have to be responsible. Like, yeah, that's a little.
So now, what is this cat thing?
Okay, so on the left-hand side is two ladies, and they're apparently it's like people getting it like a fight. So it's like on one side, people are like, no, this is the way it is. And then the cat is like, no.
But is this a real scene from something?
On the left, yes. That's from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
But the cat wasn't there. This is like a mashup. Okay, because I'm trying to understand. I don't get the reference. So I'm like, is this? They're really yelling at the cat? I didn't get this one. Okay,
they're not yelling at the cat.
So most of them you can kind of get right off.
The cat
I couldn't get this one.
The cat is just showing.
Because everybody keeps using this now, and I'm lost. Like I feel like kind of
the cat is just disinterested. So the one that I saw today was on the left hand side. It said sugar, and then on the right hand side, the cat was like butter, cream, and salt. No, butter, salt, and pepper. Talking about like what should be in grits.
Oh, okay.
So like the people on the left are like, no, it's sugar, and then the ones that we're looking at right now.
I used to have butter, sugar, and cinnamon in my rice. When I was
that is disgusting.
when I was little, I'm not the only person who had sugar on their rice.
Because you can't make rice pudding.
Yeah, it wasn't rice pudding, but that's why I don't eat it like that anymore. But
I should hope not, because you're a grown up.
But even if I did, I still eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every once in a while. Actually,
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are
butter.
not
I don't eat peanut butter anymore.
But that is like culinary masterpiece. There's nothing better than.
What?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh.
Like, kind of want to go home and have one. But with crunchy peanut butter, because that's what I like. That's the grown up. That's how I made it grown up. Because like when I was little, I would only eat like creamy peanut butter. But now that I'm an adult,
yeah. No, you gotta go to the almond butter thing. I
am not putting expensive almond butter in a jam sandwich. I'm gonna have to think about.
No, it's really good. You should try it. It's very good.
Sure
I got
what at home? waiting on you?
No, I got no. Sam is
Oh,
agreeing
Sam
with
is
me.
agreeing with you.
I got an amen corner.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So anyway, so after Miss Norma comes and joins us on our last segment of the show, we're gonna have a really cool 2 people who are coming on and talk about a really cool event, Sneaker Ball Atlanta, and you're not gonna want to miss this. It's a good opportunity for you to have fun at an event and get out, but then also support a really good cause. So we're going to learn more about what they're doing and what they're doing through really cool shoes and shoes for youth who may not have shoes or may have never gotten a new pair of shoes, which is, I think there's just nothing better than having a new pair of shoes.
It sets the foundation for your whole body.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
I remember getting a pair. I was the biggest Grant Hill fan when he came out of Duke. Huge Grant Hill fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I had...
Shout out to Grant Hill. Maybe he's listening to the show.
He might be listening to the show.
He's
Send
in
it to him.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Yes, we just...
I think the best thing about Grant Hill is Tamia. I love
Me
Tamia.
too.
I love Tamia. I'm sorry.
She's
just
fantastic. A friend of mine used to own a salon, and she would go there.
Really?
So she signed a CD for me.
Oh,
Anyway,
her music's really
sidebar.
good.
She's great.
Yeah. Anyway.
And the 2 of them, fabulous together.
Yes.
Anyway, but I was a huge Grant Hill fan. I had poster in my room. I had jersey.
Yep.
And I had the Grant Hill Feelers.
Well, you should wear those.
If I still had them, I would.
Yeah.
But I remember those shoes. They were white. They were white. And I remember not wanting to crease my sneakers.
Yeah, you have to walk in a certain way.
There they are.
To when you have white leather sneakers, when you have a hard leather, so you have to. It's the way you walk in the shoe.
Yeah, you couldn't. I would not crease my. I had those the original ones.
Or you could put the cardboard too on the toe. You got to learn. Got to know the tricks. You got to know the tricks of the trade.
Those are probably like the only. Yeah, I was not.
And then they actually make a thing now. So, back in the day, you just had
back
the
in
cardboard.
the day, I would just walk flat-footed in my shoes so I wouldn't crease them. But
they make a tool now that you could put in your shoes to not have that
genius.
Crease. It is.
Somebody somewhere, I'm telling you, sitting on a pile of money because they figured that out.
Yep, it's just like the Snuggie.
Just like I had 2 of those.
Yeah, you solve an issue with one product, and there you go.
That's true. I did have a Snuggie. It was a gag gift.
Everybody had a Snuggie, though.
It was a gag gift, but I will tell you this.
And every Christmas they come back with another one. I mean, that guy, talk about somebody who didn't grow up, because did he start that business when he was living in his parents' basement or something?
So, probably.
And he's like 21.
Because he was probably sitting there in the basement with his robe turned around.
Yeah,
and he was like,
I think he was unemployed. He just was kind of, I hate to disparage his name,
come up, but
I think he was just a bum.
But that thing is, that Snuggie was what, $19? Was it $19.99 for a Snuggie?
Originally when it came out?
I think so.
I don't know.
But the thing about it is, it's the worst material.
It's the
awful.
cheapest.
They're
it's the
awful.
cheapest thing. You'll be better turning your robe inside out.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would you'd be much better off turning your robe around.
I have done that. But
me too. Snuggie tails.
There's all kinds of Snuggies.
I didn't
now.
know that Snuggie had evolved.
Oh yeah. Now you haven't seen though. That is that we're looking.
We're looking at the Snuggie website.
Yes,
and apparently
where you can have the mermaid tails. That's a big thing now with kids. Those are. Is there a way that if you were, say you were babysitting and you had rambunctious children, is there a way to trap them in the tail so that they can't get out? I'm sure there is. I figured by now he's probably sold that business though. Because I feel it's like a little...
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that guy's still not running Snuggie.
But so because I was watching this show about how people got rich off of stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the show was called.
Slap chop. I had one of those. The slap chop. The thing that you beat to chop the food.
Oh.
Slap chop.
I didn't know what that was. I thought it was like a pork chop or something. But anyway.
No. Not a pork chop.
But anyway, after he did the Snuggie, he came up with the
something
teeth.
Else.
The teeth there's some fake teeth that you put in your mouth that makes you look like you have no teeth, like one tooth or something.
I feel like once those people come up with one thing, then they probably are given like total carte blanche to come up with other stupid things.
And that's what he did.
There's a place, so the place, giving Florida a bad name, the place where they do all of those infomercials. Well, yes. No, but there's like a studio in Florida
where you just make infomercials.
They just make infomercials, and these people
that'd be a great place to visit.
They rotate in and out, and they go in and they make the infomercials. And I forget where it is. Somebody was broadcasting Actually,
Was
I
that,
can
was
tell
that
you.
Ronco Studios? Because Ronco
Might be
made
wrong. I don't know.
everything.
But so I was watching Meet the Press one day randomly.
Yeah.
And Chuck Todd was filming in Florida, and he was like, so
At the infomercial studio?
He was at the infomercial studio. That's where they were. That's where they could get in. I don't even understand. I don't know why that would have been the case, that he wouldn't have been able to use like the local news or whatever. But that was because he
They
might
didn't
have
want
been
to meet the press that day.
No, but he might have been there for like all week or something like that. And the studio that they were using was like
Ronco Studios.
the Ronco Studios or whatever. I guess you could just get studio space, but he's like, well, you all have seen this studio before. If you've been up at 2:00 in the morning, you know exactly where I am.
I don't feel like Ronco is making products anymore. I think you don't hear about them that much.
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like they should come out with the next best thing.
Well, I mean, the fact that you could still buy a chia pet.
No, they went away for a while, and then they came back.
But they did come back. And
because chia seeds came back. So, when you get
that's true.
That kind of,
because they had like a
revival.
Yeah, they had like the Stranger Things. I mean, like they have, anyway.
They have Stranger Things shoes. There's a whole line of Nikes with Stranger Things. I never watched that show ever.
Me neither. I have no idea.
Nor will they have a whole line.
There's monsters.
Oh, that's what it is?
Aren't there monsters in Stranger Things? Yeah, I don't watch things
I thought those kids just had superpowers.
But there's monsters.
So they're not the monsters. The kids aren't the monsters.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, it's too confusing. But anyway,
there's a very oddly placed picture of Chuck Todd on our screen right now, and it's kind of it's just weird.
I don't know. I thought we were going to figure out the Ronco guy, but anyway,
I guess not. That's not the direction we went.
No.
So,
anyway,
great show.
Yes, Norma Joy Barnes is going to come up after the break, and then we are going to be talking about Sneaker Ball Atlanta at the bottom of the show. So you're going to stick with us. You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, welcome back to The Good Work Show. We are sitting here with look, it's so stylish.
It's so
stylish. Miss Norma Joy Barnes, who is the president and CEO of the Community Council of Metropolitan Atlanta, CCMA for short. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Absolutely. So tell us all about CCMA and what the mission is of the organization.
All right. The Community Council of Metropolitan Atlanta is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was founded in 2008, 11 years ago, to provide services to at-risk youth and young men of color, 18 to 28 years of age.
All right.
Wonderful. So you founded the organization.
I did.
Okay, so we left that title out. We left that title out. And one of the things, I always get to ask this question of the folks who are founders of an organization. Tell us that story and what made you say, somebody's not doing this job, so we need to do it, and I'm going to start an organization. So tell us that story.
All right. Well, throughout my career, I was faced with issues and challenges that our young men were having in particularly young men over 18. We do a lot for our youth and children, but when a young man becomes 18, 20, 24, we think they ought to have it together, but so many of them don't. For years, I mentored, I researched, I worked with the community, this is the Community Council of Metropolitan Atlanta, but I worked with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission as an investigator and a mediator, and I saw firsthand experience of how these young men were being treated. My son was doing fine, but I couldn't overlook all of the young men who were falling between the cracks. So I decided in 2008 that I had to retire from my position as a mediator, even though I loved the job, to do something full-time with our young men. And that's why I formed the Community Council of Metropolitan Atlanta.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true what you say about that age group. Because I think about even, the folks that we work with at Goodwill, we cut, 16 to 24?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, a lot of stuff does cut off at 18 if you're within the system. A lot of people.
Foster care cuts off
at 18.
Yeah.
And I think if you talk to women who are dating or men who are dating men who are 18 to 28, they ain't got it together. So
Yeah, and
we know that to be true.
and so many of them have missed out.
Yes.
They did not have strong male role models. So many grew up without fathers. So what do you do if you don't know what to do?
Right.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it.
Yeah,
And we've
that's
talked
right.
about that with other organizations too. You need to see something to know
That's true.
how to do better.
Yeah. So tell us about that audience, and I think you hit on it a little bit. But what were you seeing? What were some of the issues that you were seeing in particular that you thought, well, there needs to be an organization that can address this, because in that age group with that target demographic, they do not have what?
That's true. I personally witnessed young men being treated differently than their white counterparts and even black females. But even these statistics are startling. They're 2 times more likely to be unemployed than their white counterparts. And even when employed, their salaries are 75% of what their white counterparts make. They're 7 times more likely to be arrested. And even when they are incarcerated, their sentences tend to be 10 months longer than those who committed the same offense. They're 9 times more likely to die of homicide. And many times you're killing each other. So something has to be done.
Yeah. And you were seeing those statistics even play out in places like Atlanta. I mean,
yes,
this is not
definitely.
This is not, you were looking nationally. You were seeing this in your backyard.
And it may be even worse in Atlanta.
Yeah. Wow.
That's wow. Well, thank you for so many people, you look at a situation or you look at an issue and you're like, well, that stinks. And then you go on about your business or you keep working. And you said that you left a job that you loved because you realized that there was other work to be done. So we appreciate you for that. And let's talk about some of what that work is that y'all are doing. So tell us about the Priority Mail Initiative.
All right. But before I say that, so many times we think that we can't make a difference. We want to leave it up to nonprofit organizations and the government to address these problems. And so many people thought that I was crazy to lose a 6-figure salary and work free. But I knew what the need was, and I knew that if God gave me the vision, he would give me the provisions, and that's what he's done. The Priority Mail Initiative is composed of a number of programs. We have a Priority Mail Institute, which is a 16-week structured program for young men. And so many young men have said to me, Ms. Barnes, it saved my life. Has classes that range from anything from personal assessment, goal setting, interpersonal relationships, heritage lessons, communication skills, dressing for success, etiquette and social skills, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, vocational exploration, looking for the
class.
job, things that I did not get. And I went to boarding school. I didn't get those things. But we've worked all of those things in the program. We also have a Propel Academy, which is a 12-week program, but they are only in class 1 day a week because of funding.
So for the other one, are they in class every day?
The 16-week program, they were in class Mondays through Thursdays.
Wow.
From 9:30 to 3:30.
So that's
that is school.
That's
It is
school. That's
school.
a
It is
semester of
school.
school.
It is school.
That's
And
fantastic.
so many people thought they wouldn't stick with it, but they were hungry for that.
Where did you house that?
The first program was on ITC's campus,
Okay.
Interdenominational Theological Center.
Yep.
One of the ministries there hosted us for a 16-week period. Then we went to Morris Brown College. The last one was at ITC in a different building, the 1-week program. And it wasn't as effective because it was only 1 week, but the young men changed during that 12-week period.
I think something that you said was interesting, that people thought that they wouldn't stick with the program, but the young men got in there because they were hungry for it. And I think that's something to expand on, to the idea that just because somebody isn't because they don't want to, that once they have the opportunity, they grab onto it.
They do. They do. And the first program, we were out for Christmas, and I wanted them to be out for 2 weeks. They were upset. I thought they were going to be elated. I would be. But they said, Miss Barnes, we have to be out for 2 weeks. Can't we just be out for Christmas and New Year's? I needed a break.
Like,
So
well,
2 weeks. The first program, 16 weeks, that's a long time.
mhm.
The young men, first program might have been 26 weeks. I think it was 6 months.
Mm.
And then we went to 16. But when we graduated, I thought they would be elated. They were so disappointed. Miss Barnes, this time went by so fast. Can't you keep working with us? We had to form a charter club so that they could meet once a week until they could really go on and do their own thing. But they were hungry. And our young men are. But men don't voice their concerns like
Right.
we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We look
she's
for those
looking at
kind
the
of
men in the
programs.
Well, not these guys.
Yeah, no.
They tell us a lot.
They do. They do. Yes.
And I pushed my son to finish college, to do those things, but they don't really talk about it like we do. I need some help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So who now? You said they were telling you, Miss Barnes, we don't want to leave. It's too early. Were you teaching all of those classes?
No.
Okay.
We have professionals. I'm there every day.
You're there every
I'm
day.
there every day.
Yeah.
But we have professionals to teach those classes. They get speech and diction, public speaking, all of those things from professionals. But it interests them. They haven't been exposed to this before.
Yeah.
Then we take them to the museum. We take them to a nice restaurant for dinner. We took them to a play production one time, and they had not done that before. So we try to expose them to as many cultural events as possible, in addition to the classes.
That's so important.
They have to read books. They have to make reports in class, and they are graded on terms of their engagement and their participation in the program.
Now, how do they? You said that two things that I heard is one, you went down to 1 day a week because of funding. So
Because of funding.
because we definitely need to tap into that, because this obviously is something that people should invest in for a variety of reasons. But then two, is there any point of entry for the folks for the young men who are coming in? Do they have to do anything but show up? Is there?
They have to apply.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of young men applying. We have to screen them, and then we accept them into the program.
So they don't have to pay a fee or anything.
No fees,
Wow.
nothing.
Wow.
We provide lunch every day,
Wow.
and all of their books, their supplies. If they have to wear something special, we provide that. And the money comes out of our pockets mainly.
Wow. So that's where we need to, after we have a break, because I want to talk a lot about that, because you need some. We need to get you some funding
We need
so
some funding.
so we can
Yes.
expand that. So we're gonna hold that for a minute. But so do you have a class going on now?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No. Right now, we have the Prior to Male Empowerment Symposium
Okay.
that you discovered
Yes.
and contacted me about. And we have workshops, Propel Yourself to Success workshops.
Okay. So we're going to talk about those. The symposium is, give us a date on that.
The symposium is on Thursday, November the 14th.
Okay.
So that's next week.
Okay. All right. And then that is an opportunity for folks to support the work that you're doing and invest in that. But they can also give you donations at any point, right?
At any point.
So give us
and
that-
they can do it online.
Tell us that website.
The website is www.communitycounselma.org.
Okay. And social media.
We're on Facebook.
Okay.
I think I'm not that literate on the others, but I think they put us on Twitter.
Okay.
But, I don't twit.
That's okay.
You can go to the website and find it.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
The people who are on Twitter, they know how to find you.
Okay.
They know how to find you. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more, Norma, about funding for this and what needs specifically we can get our audience to hear about that will help you get another class together and get some of these resources, because I know there are people who are looking for opportunities to support this. So we want to make sure that we get them that information, and then talk a little bit more about some of the events and things that you might have coming up and what you are hoping to take this program to. So can you hang on and take a break?
Definitely. Thank
You're
you.
listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, welcome back to The Good Work Show. We have been chatting with Miss Norma Joy Barnes, who is the president and CEO of the Community Council for Metropolitan Atlanta, CCMA, an organization that is supporting, in particular, Black males ages 18 to 28. So definitely after that sort of youth age where we have a lot of focus and programs that are supporting that. But this is young adult men who really still need some help. They need a help up. They need exposure to things. And that is what CCMA has been doing and hopes to continue doing a little bit more of. And, you know, you mentioned something before we took the break, Ms. Norma, about a lot of the things that you were doing were coming out of your own pockets. The staff at CCMA, which is commendable and great because that means you really believe in what you're doing. But there are also opportunities, and we know this very well when we talk to nonprofits, is that we can't do it all alone. And you can expand and you could do so much more if you were to have a little bit more funding. So talk to us a little bit about the funding needs and why it's so important for organizations like yours to have people invest in and partner with, because this is great work that you're doing. Again, you mentioned some of the statistics that are hitting right there home for this group of young men that you're serving. But we could change all of that if there were opportunities and more of them for CCMA to get involved.
Yes. And we had applied for grants in the past, and I've talked with the representative about why were we not selected. And one of them candidly told me, we're interested in youth and young teenagers, and even elderly and disabled. But our interest is not in young Black males in that age group. I think that what most of them are missing is that these young men are going to be raising children of their own, and they're going to pass on what they know to their children. So the legacy will continue. Their children will need help years from now. But if we give them the right resources now, they will share those with their children. And we won't have as big of a problem in the future. We just received our first grant from Fulton County.
Fantastic.
Oh, nice.
The first grant, so yay.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We were very happy to receive that. And it's mainly because they have the My Brother's Keeper initiative that President Obama initiated about 7 years ago and called attention to the needs of young Black males. Had it not been for that, we probably would not be receiving a grant.
So we get a thanks,
For that
Obama.
age group. yeah.
Thanks,
right.
Obama.
Yeah.
That the age group I understand. Like it's difficult to explain that because either people feel like at some point you get written off, like, well, we couldn't help you up till now. So, but there's a lot of life to live if you're 18 to 28 years old. Hopefully, God willing, there's a lot more life to live, and you know, it's
and most 18-year-olds are still at home. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, up until you get to 23, you're mostly still at home. So for the most part, you're not a child, but you're not a full-grown adult.
No.
That's true.
It's somewhere in between.
At all.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were just talking, you know, a little bit off air about college, and I'm like, not a fully formed person.
No, not.
No matter how much you want to tell yourself that you were, you absolutely were not. So I just think it's important for people to know, you know, you're not done. Like, just because somebody's 18 and they've had challenges or problems, or 22 or 26, that there's still potential in a person.
It is.
Yeah.
There's still
It's
potential.
not too late.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
To turn their lives around, to empower them to live more productive lives. We just have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing you just mentioned is that a lot of these young men may become fathers or are fathers. And you all do have a fatherhood initiative.
We have a fatherhood initiative. We call it our DNA Fatherhood Initiative. Now, when most people think about DNA, they think about the genetic DNA. But ours is not the genetic DNA. It's the real DNA. The D stands for devoted. A real father has to be devoted to his children. The N stands for noble. He should carry himself in such a way that if his children emulate him, it's no problem. It's a good thing. And the A stands for accountable. Even if you can't pay child support, you can still be there for your children. Provide moral support, inspire them, and do what you can. Let them know that you care. So if you possess the real DNA, you're a real father, and you will make a difference, a positive difference in your children's lives.
Mm.
We have not fully implemented the DNA Young Fatherhood Initiative because of funding, but we try to work it into what we do.
The next time you come on the show, we're not going to be talking. We're going to talk about all the money that you got, not all the needs that you have.
I hope so.
But I think where the rubber meets the road a lot of times is when we hear about stories of people who have gone through, and so you have had so many classes and experiences and interactions with the young men, and so tell us a story or two about someone who has been helped by CCMA and the impact that it has had positively on their lives.
There are two that stick out for me. One was a young man who joined the program and said, Miss Barnes, I can get a job, but I can't keep it. Mm-hmm. Every time I get a job, I get fired, and I don't understand it. Well, once he went through the program, about midway, he said, Miss Barnes, I understand why I was being fired. I thought I was doing them a favor by working for them. Mm-hmm. He said, I understand now. After he graduated from, and that was a 26-week program, after he graduated from the program, we got him in the Year Up program, which is a one-year program. It's a great program. And when I went to his graduation, his counselor came up to me and said, Miss Barnes, I've seen hundreds of young people come through this program, but, and I won't call his name, has the highest ethics than anybody I've seen. Mm. Now, this is a young man who couldn't keep a job at the beginning, but now he has impressed his counselor because he was always there and he was doing what he needed to do to succeed in the program. Another young man graduated from the program, and we got him a job on, I think it was November 23rd. It was something 23rd. And he said to me, Miss Barnes, November 23rd is really important to me. He said, 3 years ago on November 23rd, I was shot in the back. Mm-hmm. He said, one of my buddies and I were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I turned to run, and they shot me in the back. I was in the hospital for months. My lungs collapsed. He said, but I survived. He said, but now on November 23rd, you're giving me a job with benefits, something I've never had before. Mm-hmm. He said, I thought my life might have been over a few years ago, but now I know that my life is starting. Mm-hmm. And he's still working. So it does save lives. It does empower lives. And there's so many other stories of young men. We even had a young white male that we accepted in the program, even though it's for young black males. We're not going to turn away anybody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he still calls me. He still keeps in touch with me and said, Miss Barnes, you don't know how much it helped me. Mm-hmm. Things we take for granted that we give them. And it really does make a difference.
Yeah. I can see you're so passionate about this.
I know.
And when you mentioned that you were paying out of your own pocket, I could see that. But we want to get you some help so we can replicate this because there's so many. The need is great.
We need some help, and it's not just my money.
Yeah,
friends, family members, board of directors, volunteers, supporters who learn about us are sending us money, and we're able to do what we do. Everybody says, "Well, what's the budget, Norma? How are we going to do that?" I said, "We're going to do it." Mm-hmm. And every time we've done it, we have community partners. For example, the Russell Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship is giving us free space for the symposium, and that's expensive space. Mm-hmm. Chick-fil-A has provided lunch for many of our events, free of charge. We had free office space for a while. So the community partners are stepping up. Even though we're not getting a grant from them, the in-kind assistance makes a big difference. Yeah. Now, if we had money, it's no telling what we could do.
Yeah. Well, let's get you some.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
It's giving season. Mm-hmm. We always, this time of year on the Good Work Show, we always like to remind people, we're going into Thanksgiving, but we also know that
Giving
Tuesday is coming up, that this is the time, what is it? It's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Black Friday,
Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday,
and Giving
Tuesday.
So that is December 3rd this year.
I think so.
It's December 3rd is giving, but you don't have to wait till December 3rd. And
You
don't
should
have,
not wait till
you should
December
not wait. And on December 4th, you should keep supporting.
That's
But,
right.
this is the giving season. This is the time of year that folks are looking at ways to make a difference. And we think CCMA is definitely an organization that should be receiving some of this community support. And you talk about when people know about what you're doing, they want to support it. So
That's
hopefully
right.
somebody out there is listening. Not just talking to ourselves here.
I hope so.
And that folks are hearing what you're doing and are inspired and may not have thought about this group of people, this demographic of folk who need support. Like you said, it's not too late on anybody.
It's not.
It's never too late
It's
for
not.
anybody. So, visit the website. Let's.
And volunteers.
And
volunteers.
Because you mentioned
we
that
need
you need
mentors.
so tell us
We
real
need
quickly. We got
mentors,
about 30 seconds left.
speakers,
What kind of
workshop leaders, support staff members who are willing to give up their time to empower at-risk youth and young men. We didn't have time to talk about the Live Before You Die Summit. It's in the spring for teenagers, but perhaps we'll have another opportunity.
We'll have you back
Yes,
on.
about
We will
absolutely.
have you back on to talk about that. So the website again?
It's www.communitycouncilma.org.
All right. So please look up that website, everybody. And like Trinise said, Giving Tuesday is coming up. So definitely want you to invest in not only the program and these young men, but an investment like this is also an investment in your community.
It
and in
is.
yourself.
It is.
The more that
It
you
is.
help those that are struggling, the better off you are. Everybody pays taxes. There's less crime. There's so many benefits for you. So if you think this is not for you, it is. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ms. Norma.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, and welcome back to The Good Work Show. This is going to be a great segment because we are super excited to have two guests with us.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to take any of the thunder about what they're going to tell us. So we have T.L. Salami, who is with us, and she is the founder of, and I'm going to let her tell you because, like I said, I didn't want to steal any thunder, and William Johnson. Are you co-founder?
No, I am the nonprofit partner.
Nonprofit
Cool.
partner. Tell us all about, what is it?
The sneaker ball.
Sneaker ball.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes. So first, let me say thank you so much
Absolutely.
for having us. We really appreciate every opportunity that we get to talk about it because we're very excited. So the Sneaker Ball Atlanta is an event that we've curated in Atlanta for the past 9 years. It's always been surrounding philanthropy. But right now what we're doing, we're shifting gears from totally just gifting shoes, and now we're creating community programming. So beyond being able to give away new shoes to local youth in Atlanta, we're preparing for this year to raise $50,000 to be able to go into APS in January with his organization to do a design and pitch competition.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
so the sneaker ball is
The Sneaker Ball is an event. It's a really,
Okay.
really, really cool event that people have latched onto, and I always like to talk about the philanthropy when I can because
I know.
Yes.
And I
people,
want you
people are hooked
to.
on the event.
Yeah.
But we
So,
need to tell
you wanna
people
talk
what
about
the
the
event
event?
is. No. Just real quick, and then we'll talk about all the philanthropy.
okay.
And people need to know because this is cool.
yeah.
Absolutely. So I'll back it up a second then. So my background has been in event production for about 10 years or so, beyond 10 years. So I started out producing festival experiences. I've worked with A3C, Essence Festival, Atlanta Film Festival, Tribeca Film Festival, and have transitioned into TV and film production. So I have a lot of producing experiences under my belt. So the Sneaker Ball is kind of my baby. It is where, it's like my playground. So it's where we get to, it's almost like, I like to get adults in the mindset of the at-risk youth that we're serving. So it's almost like a playground. It's a really, really, really interactive event. So you dress up and you wear sneakers so you can literally play with us. Like we have so many interactive spaces within the event where you'll be able to do artwork. You'll be able to see artwork being done, live murals, customizations of hats, pictures galore. It's a lot of stuff. It's games. It's all kinds of stuff that can happen at Sneaker Ball. It's really fun.
Cool.
Really, really fun.
And you get to dress up and
wear your sneakers.
Wear sneakers at the
Best of
same
both
time.
worlds.
Like that, when I first heard that, I was like, oh, just sign me
It's
up.
a good time.
That's all
It's
I
a good
need.
time. It's a really good time.
She texted me like 11 o'clock at night. We're
was
going
like,
to
we're
this.
going to this.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a
going to
really
this
good time.
thing.
And I know
Yes.
Will can. We did a focus group, and Will made a good point about like just the atmosphere and being dressed up, but then having sneakers.
Yeah.
The interaction that you get from that is a really unique experience. So
Yeah.
We really pride ourselves on it.
Cool.
Okay,
and
now
all
the
of that for philanthropy. Yes. All for
All
a
of
good
that
cause.
for philanthropy. Yes.
Yeah, cool. So tell us about that's the fundraising part. Then
Right.
what happens with all of the money? And you mentioned giving away sneakers too,
Right.
which is where it kind of started. So let's unravel a lot of that, because I think that we talk about sneakers and they're fun, and there's people who are sneakerheads and they just collect sneakers and they're really into it. But for kids who don't have a good pair of shoes,
Right.
like that means a lot. And then when you get to a certain age and you're in a certain grade, the quality of your sneakers or what they or lack thereof can mean a big thing. And yes, so it could be, some people might think of it as superficial, but really that has a lot of effect on how people treat you and how they approach you and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I love the point that you made. And that was a little bit of, or a lot of the reason why we started it, because what's important to me is that, shoes are a basic necessity. You can't get away from that. So I love that part. But I loved, because started this almost 10 years ago, so I was still at Georgia State's campus. So I wanted to do something that would affect people around me, but that I knew that I could do creatively and that I had the resources to lead my peers to do. And in that time, fashion, like you said, is a really big thing. So they have shoes, they have these things. But for me, over time, what I've kind of ingrained in my own mind when I'm explaining it to people, when they get a little offset by the sneakers and dressing up, to me, I tell people to think about almost like a breast cancer ribbon. That signifies a certain, a certain journey. And for a lot of kids, a lot of adults, a lot of people that we work with and see, they have that rags to riches story to where, shoes really matter. So it's a really, really, to me, it's an awesome way to affect change with people and to turn something that can be superficial, kind of refocus that back on the basic necessity of it and kind of use it as bait to transform people. So that's what we're doing with the event.
Absolutely. Cool. So we need to let you jump in.
It's your turn.
Tell us about your role, nonprofit partner, right? So
Right.
So tell us about what you do in terms of Sneaker Ball and then the money that's being raised.
So I'm William Johnson, and my nonprofit is called Picking Up the Ball. The major initiative that we do through picking up the ball is called Just One Pair. That came about in going to a school, and I saw a lot of the kids had shoes, but they weren't in the best conditions. And so, like you said, that we never really understand what drives students until you're able to kind of see how they interact and how they interact with the individuals that do have shoes that may look better than theirs. So, upon knowing that this was a common issue with students and understanding that sneakers drive our culture in a lot of ways. And sneakers are very prominent, given the fact that most schools have implemented uniforms now. So the biggest way for a student to kind of show his creativity is through his sneakers. So what does that do? What does that do for a student who doesn't have the means to buy sneakers? That gives it another focal point for someone to look at him and pick on him or her with. So what we do is we go into the schools. In the first couple of years, we started out by doing some kind, talking to them more so about character and having pride in themselves. And in return, we gave them a pair of shoes. Now, being able to see what those shoes did, and you saw some of the kids hold on to shoes, like really hug a box, right? And it's different in which you just get the shoes and you open it up in. But to see a student hug a box really does something to you, because you have students who share their pair of shoes that they have on. Now they share them with their sisters and brothers, right? And so they've never had anything that they call their own. So one thing we pride to do when I do shoe giveaways, and when TL works with me doing the shoe giveaways, we like to give students new pair of shoes, right? We don't want you to feel like you're second class and like you've had things passed down to you throughout your life. Right. So what does it do if you had the chance to open up the box? And I think everybody sitting here has had their memories with their most prized possession of shoes. You remember buying the bag and having the bag and pulling the shoes out the bag. And you open the box and you know what the shoes like, and you know the smell of the shoes and
There's
the
that
wrapper.
smell.
Yes.
There's that good
Yes.
smell. When you take the paper
And
out.
if it's a
Right.
pair of Jordans, you have to have that sticker.
Yes. And so,
Because I mean, let's be, if you go to buy shoes and it doesn't have the paper in it, that means somebody else had tried that
Yep.
pair on.
Yes.
So you
I
don't
want
buy
it.
that
Yes.
pair.
I don't want
that
You
pair.
get the other pair.
Yeah.
so it's what does that moment do for each student,
Yeah.
right? It gives you a pride to say, okay, this is mine. And somebody thought of me enough to give this to me. I'm important enough to have something for myself. And so what we do is we, and what we'll talk about more is we do programming around that shoe. Now, we're giving you a shoe. Now, how do I upkeep that shoe? How do I dress around that shoe? What does that shoe say about me? And how can I use this shoe to kind of propel me further in life, even though it is just one pair of sneakers? What can this just one pair of sneakers do for me and take me further along in life?
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
I
And
know.
yeah, the story about kids hugging the box. That's I'm sure for the both of you and the work that you're doing, that is a feeling that you can't replace when you're able to see that happen and see somebody being super impacted positively just about a pair of shoes that for most of us we kind of just take for granted.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about what's happening in January with APS.
Yeah.
So in January, what we decided to do, we decided to take what we've been doing a step further. So we did the first year, we gave away the shoes, and we also did, we took the students to Alma-Mater, and they got a chance to pick out their own shoes. But before that, they had to do a service project in which they donated a large amount of shoes to a home. So then the next year, what we did is we did more so a celebration bowl in which we got students from a local middle school, and we took them to the Celebration Bowl, which is one of the largest HBCU celebrations, in which two HBCUs play each other, almost like the bowl for HBCUs. And so they were out there and they saw people that were from their same community go to college. And so that was another impactful moment. So we wanted to take a step further and say, okay, how can we use shoes and take it a step further to really drive home what we're trying to do? So with APS, what we decided to do a camp or a cohort in which we take some students and we actually start with the idea around a sneaker. And then throughout the course of 18 weeks, we show them how to flesh out an idea that they may have concerning the sneaker. So is this, do you want to do something like laces that never go dirty, right? So that decreases a student from having to buy extra laces, right? Do you want to find a protective covering for sneakers? Because a student who doesn't have the money to buy sneakers, how does he preserve the one pair of sneakers he has? So if you have that idea, how can we flesh that idea out over 18 weeks? And then the culmination of the 18 weeks will bring a lot of our business partners and friends in to kind of see them do a pitch, right? To pitch their idea, to build their idea, and show them that, hey, you can start. You have the power in you to start an idea, and then how do you flesh that idea, and then present that idea. So who knows? Nike may pick you up, Reebok may pick you up. Who knows?
Yeah. You might be the next Tinker Hatfield. You
There
just
we go.
never know.
That's so cool.
Well, cool. I mean, this has been fantastic. So you got if you want to plug in and you want to participate and support through the ball, you can come, dress up, donate. And then if you really want to get into the work and the day-to-day, then you can partner with William and connect with the kids. And it just kind of all goes hand in hand. So super cool. So Sneaker Ball coming up November 16th.
Yes.
Because I really did ask last week. I'm like, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
November 16th.
Cool.
So, yes. So, if you don't have anything else to do, and why would you, besides come to Sneaker Ball, you should come to Sneaker
Good
Ball.
time.
It's going to be a fun experience. Both of you will be there, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So, you will see us both there.
I need to go buy sneakers
yes.
because apparently my shoe choice is not up to snuff. So I need to go shopping, I guess.
But we're excited, and thank you both for the work that you're doing. I think there's a lot around our culture and talking about footwear and how it can really change and transform kids' lives. So thank you so much for that. And Sneaker Ball, everybody coming up. #SB
_ATL.
ATL. All right. You're listening to The Good Work Show.